I can tell you why your lifestyle's wrong. You want to hear that?
Yeah, shoot.
Okay.
I'm not scared of you.
It's not a question of being scared of me. Remember, we're searching after truth.
Yeah.
All right, I'm convinced that you are hurting yourself and hurting women when you have sex outside of the context of a lifelong commitment.
Well, me personally, I'm probably not going to go for a girl who I've known has played in the field a lot.
Whoa! Oh, baby, I like where this one's going. All right, explain that one.
Booyah.
So you can play the field, but she can't, right?
Cliffe is challenged on marriage, hookup culture, and the meaning of true intimacy by a college student. Can casual sex and open relationships really build love, or do they leave us broken? And what about gay marriage? Does it fit God's purpose, or redefine it entirely? What does the Bible really say about these questions? Stay tuned to see how this exchange unfolds, and let us know in the comments what you think.
So you think it's possible for a human being to know God, but you're not sure if God exists, but you're searching.
Yeah.
Okay, now great. Now where are you in that search process?
I mean, currently, like, I do, if I had to say, I would believe in a God. Like, if I have to lean towards it, because I want to believe, like, everything here, our life has a greater meaning.
Great point.
But then, like, and it's up to me to expand those ideas by myself. I don't want to read, I don't need like I said, like I've been repeating, I don't need someone else to tell me how to
Yeah.
be closer to God.
Okay.
Like, I'm on this point where I want to find out how I can be more spiritual. And
Okay, good.
I'm
What does that
leaning
mean?
towards the idea of a God.
What does it mean to be more spiritual?
Being spiritual to me, I don't, maybe we might disagree, but it's like learning how to love people better, not maybe being a happier person, say like when bad things happen to you, it's not letting those bad things happen to you bring you down. It's about
Okay.
always staying happy no matter what. And my qualms are that, like, with religion, where you're confined to a certain belief system, and it doesn't allow you to think freely. Because if you take part of a certain belief system, if someone disagrees with you on that little stone, on a little part of that belief system, you think of it as like a foundation. If you take away one brick, like, everything could fall apart. And religion restricts you to a belief system, doesn't allow you to think freely.
Quite the opposite is true in my experience. Quite the opposite is true. If there is no God, nihilism wins the day, logically.
Okay.
Which means your rational powers are ultimately meaningless. Read Nietzsche, Camus, Sartre, they point it out very logically. So, if you're going to take your possible belief, I don't know where you're going to end up, but if you're going to take your possible belief that there is no God seriously and be consistent with it, then you have to acknowledge my reason doesn't necessarily tell me the truth about reality.
Because you're a part of a certain belief system, that belief system doesn't allow you to be an independent thinker. You're always going to have these belief systems clashing. It's hard to change your mind on certain issues when they all are tied into your one belief.
Sir, that is true for every single one of us. The law of non-contradiction applies in the East, in the West, to every agnostic, every atheist, every theist. A and non-A cannot both be true in the same way at the same time. The law of non-contradiction. So if you're an atheist, if you're an agnostic, if you're a Christian, if you're a Jew, if you're a hedonist, if you're Hugh Hefner in the Playboy philosophy, if you're Shirley MacLaine, we all, when we contradict, obviously, we disagree.
Yeah.
So now, what's your point?
Well, my point is, you're right, but that's with people, with religious people.
No, that's with atheists and agnostics and naturalists and playboys and hedonists and narcissists, materialists, capitalists, Republicans, Democrats. When you make a statement, this is the way it is, that means that which contradicts your statement is wrong.
Okay, and I would disagree, and I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example.
Okay, I'd love to hear it.
Okay, say, all right, I've heard you speak yesterday, and you don't believe in gay marriage. Let's take an example of for gay marriage. Okay, I personally do believe in gay marriage.
Yeah.
But if someone else convinces me that it is wrong, and I'll accept it. I'll say, okay, you know, maybe gay marriage is wrong. That's fine. That's not going to change the rest of my beliefs. If it goes to stem cell research or take some other like hot political issues, it's not going to change the rest of mine. But now, if you take anybody part of your Christian church and you convince them that actually gay marriage is should be legal and it should happen if you're gay, that's going to shake the core of everything you believe, because it says directly in the Bible that gays shouldn't marry. That's not a right thing. So if someone does convince you that it is right, what does it say about the rest of the Bible? How can you trust anything else in the Bible if gay marriage it turns out to be a good thing? Like, how can you trust everything else in the Bible if that part of the Bible is wrong?
Oh, well, how do you treat any textbook here at this fine university? Do you believe that if a textbook has one error in it, that the rest of it's all wrong?
No.
No, thank you.
No.
So it's not a problem, okay?
But then
If there's an error in the Bible, there's an error in the Bible.
Okay, but
I don't have a big problem with that.
all right.
Do you?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of do, because
Well, what's your problem with it?
if there's one error in the Bible, then how many other errors are there in the Bible? If
Well,
there's
you
an
better
error in my
study it.
text, if there's an error in my textbook,
Yeah.
I can explain to you the error. I can explain to you if it's calculus textbook. I can tell you, oh no, this, you know, I can show you why it's wrong and, you know, crunch out some calculations. If on the other, you know, if you go to the Bible and you look at, you know, other things like, yeah, how can you argue to me like which ones are right and which ones are wrong? Because you have to take those on faith, whereas like I take things on reason, right?
Wrong.
Okay, then how do you go about deciding which parts of the Bible are right and which ones are wrong?
Well, first of all, we're going to deal with this issue of how do we take things?
Yeah.
You take things as an agnostic
Yeah.
on faith. You
No.
have a worldview. Sir, you cannot prove agnosticism. Agnosticism is a faith position.
I'm not trying to prove agnosticism. I'm just saying.
I know you're not.
Yeah.
You can't prove agnosticism. It's impossible. You have faith that agnosticism is an accurate picture of reality. I have faith that Jesus Christ has an accurate picture of reality. We have two faiths. Guess what? Every atheist has faith that their view of reality is correct. They can't prove it. They have faith. Everybody has faith. Now, the question for us thinking human beings who appreciate reason is, here's the question. What is the evidence that your worldview, I don't care if it's atheist, agnostic, Christian, Muslim, what's the evidence that your worldview is accurate? That it tells you the truth about reality? That's the question you guys got to ask. It's a question I got to ask every day. What's the evidence that Jesus Christ's description of reality is correct? What's the evidence that Hugh Hefner's description of the purpose of life is correct? What's the evidence that the capitalist view of reality, that you guys are here for one purpose, to position yourself to get the highest paying job possible? Why? Because the purpose of life is to make money. That's faith, sir. You can't prove that to anybody. So the question is the same question for every Christian, Jew, agnostic, atheist, materialist, hedonist, and that question is, what is the evidence that your worldview is an accurate description of reality?
All right.
It's that simple.
No, that was awesome. Like, I actually
Thank
agree
you.
with everything you said there. You're a good speaker.
Thank
and
you.
that sounds really nice. But what happens when you get down to practical issues?
Yeah, let's go for them.
Okay, because I hear you. The hot topic seems to be like gay marriage and homosexuality. So, and it says like, okay, and I guess we'll go into politics and maybe how your religious views influence them. Who are we to say what homosexuals do, or what kind of version of religion they practice? Who are we to say that they shouldn't be able to marry? Who are you to say that they shouldn't be able to marry?
It's very, very simple. The question is there a purpose to human sexuality, or is human sexuality a cosmic accident? If human sexuality is a cosmic accident, it doesn't matter what you do sexually.
Yeah.
Totally relative, totally subjective. You can have sex with your dog, with 25 women, 50 men. It really doesn't matter, okay? Because it's all relative. But if there is a God who has created our sexuality, and if he created our sexuality for a purpose, then it would behoove every single one of us to find out what is the purpose for which he created our sexuality. That is obviously where Muhammad, the Torah, the Vedas and Upanishads, the New Testament kick in, claiming this is why we have our sexuality. And obviously the Bible insists that God gave us our sexuality for the purpose of one man making a lifelong commitment to one woman, and within that context enjoying sex as a gift from God. To rip sex out of that context is to trivialize yourself, your sex partner. It is to devalue someone and to treat them as a Barbie doll or as a stud. And Jesus Christ says, guess what? People are not Barbie dolls, they're not studs. They're human beings created in the image of God with personality. We can make a commitment to each other, and it's within the context of that lifelong commitment that we're to enjoy sex as a gift from God.
Okay, so what's wrong with two men being married? So what is wrong with that? If they can stay truthful to each other, like what's wrong with that? Or two women being married? What bad comes out of that situation?
Ultimately, the homosexual marriage is breaking the purpose that God created for a man and a woman to make a lifelong commitment to each other, not a man and a man, or a woman and a woman.
Okay,
now, ultimately, why is a monogamous homosexual relationship wrong? Ultimately, I do not know. I can explain to you why a promiscuous homosexual relationship is wrong, in the same way that I could explain to you why a promiscuous heterosexual relationships are wrong. But why specifically a monogamous homosexual relationship is wrong, I do not know.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's good because...
I can tell you why your lifestyle's wrong. You want to hear that?
Yeah, okay, shoot.
Okay.
I'm not scared of you.
It's not a question of being scared of me. Remember, we're searching after truth.
Yeah.
All right, I'm convinced that you are hurting yourself and hurting women when you have sex outside of the context of a lifelong commitment. Why? Because I'm convinced that sexual intimacy is one of the greatest gifts that God has given us to form loyalty, trust, commitment. And when you have sex, that is communicating with your body. I give myself to you, totally. But the problem is, although you're doing that with your body, you're not doing that with your mind. Because what you're doing is you're leaving the loophole that says, I'm sorry, I'm not totally committing my mind, my personality, my being to you. I'm just making a quick commitment to my body to have sex with you. Therefore, when you rip apart the person, your body from your mind, you're ripping yourself apart in a way that's very unhealthy. It's destructive. Yes, I know that you have physical pleasure, but there is more to you than just your body, your person. And as a person, you can connect on an intimate level with a person. And that is why I'm concerned that you're hurting yourself and you're hurting your sex partners when you have sex outside of that lifelong commitment.
I mean, it really, I mean, for me, it doesn't have to be that complicated, because if you have a man and a woman who aren't ready to get married yet because we're in college, it's impossible financially for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And one guy has sexual urges for a girl and is attracted to that girl, and that girl's attracted to that guy. And, they have sex and they both agree that, they don't want to be in a relationship. How does that hurt any one of them? Because he gets what he wants, because it's a natural desire.
Yes.
That we have, it's better that it's fulfilled. You got to enjoy life, and it's very enjoyable. So what bad comes out of it? Like,
good, because you're not a machine. You're not a thrill-making device. At the root of your being, you're a human being with a mind, a personality. If you're just a machine, go ahead and hook up. But if you're more than a machine, then what you got to ask yourself is it wisest for me to give my entire being, mind, personality, and body to one person who we make a lifelong commitment to? Or is it best for me simply to have an impersonal hookup in order to go through orgasm so I can have a physically pleasurable experience? And according to Christ and the Bible, and according to my observation as I work with prostitutes and pimps in different cities, and as I work now a little bit more with the child sex traffic trade, what you got to realize is you're not just a body. You're a body and a personality. And God gave us this gift of sex to enjoy with a person in a personal way, not just with an object that gives you physical gratification.
But you could definitely still have an emotional or spiritual connection with a girl before you're married. You can have a relationship.
Absolutely.
And okay, you could also do that with an open relationship too. You could be friends with a girl, and you could still have like a spiritual and emotional connection to her.
Okay, but here's the point. Here's where the destruction comes in. You're right. You can have a relationship. And then when you have sex with that woman that you're building a relationship with, there is a bonding that occurs. That if you're thinking, it's getting deeper. Then if you break that bond and hop into bed with someone else and you're starting to build another bond with them, you keep on breaking like that and you're scarring. You're hurting. You're hurting yourself. You're hurting her. Because you begin to bond and then you break. You begin to bond and then you break. And it's like keeping on ripping open a scab. You're breaking and it's hurting.
Man, I mean, I'm grateful for every relationship I've had. I'm sure like everybody else agrees that, I'm grateful for every single relationship I've had in the past. And yeah, it had to end and that sucks, but you get over it and life moves on. I think you can learn from the relationships you've had in the past, and they turn out being good things in the future.
Okay.
Because if you wait for one girl let's put it another way. I mean, yeah, okay, like I said, past relationships can be good things.
Okay, how do you feel if your mother's sleeping around with a bunch of different men?
I probably wouldn't like that, but
why not?
I know she wouldn't do that, and I know my dad wouldn't cheat on her either.
Okay, why are you grateful for that?
Well, that's a really complicated question. I don't want to go off too much.
Really complicated.
But it creates, like you said, like eventually it does allow for, a greater bond. I do agree with you there, but that's later in their life. They got married when they're 30. I'm still 21. Like, they got married when they're 30, and yeah, and it's good because they are able to create a stronger emotional bond. And they're able to raise children better. It's more stable. It's a more stable system.
Yep. Good. Now, all of a sudden, I've been fooling around. My fiance's been fooling around with a lot of different sex partners. All of a sudden, we walk down an aisle, and we say, I do. And all of a sudden, we're trying to build a trust relationship, a loyal relationship. But we both know the history of the other, that we really like to play the field. But now we're making a commitment to each other. And now we're trying to trust each other.
Yeah.
See the problem?
Well,
if my history is playing the field, what on earth gives her the confidence that I'm going to stop playing the field?
Well, me personally, I'm probably not going to go for a girl who I've known has played in the field a lot.
Whoa! Oh, baby, I like where this one's going. All right, explain that one. Booyah. So you can play the field, but she can't, right? Here we go. Thanks for your honesty, man. That was well put. Because you weren't just speaking for yourself, you were speaking for a lot of guys, obviously. So it's just fine for me to go out and play the field. But when I marry her, she better not be that type of person.
I think the important thing is if you do have an open relationship, then the important thing is just to be honest, to say straight up that, hey, I'm not looking for a close relationship. And if everybody's honest with each other, nothing bad can come out of it. If she's honest with me, nothing can go wrong.
Good. Okay, well, I love the honesty of a student I got to talk to at the University of Florida down in Gainesville. This guy steps out of the crowd and he says, now, Cliff, you got to understand, I really love my girlfriend. She really loves me. We're not married. We have sex all the time. There's nothing wrong with that. I said, well, man, it's outstanding to hear that you really love her. Tell me about it. He waxed poetic for a couple of minutes. I interrupted him and said, one question. Tonight she's involved in a car accident and her beautiful face and her beautiful body is totally rearranged and scarred by the car wreck. Will you still love her tomorrow? And the guy was brutally honest. He said, no way, man. If her face is totally rearranged in a car wreck tonight, I'm going to ditch her and go out and get some other fox. I said, okay, now let me ask you a second question. Does your girlfriend really love you? He said, oh yeah, man, she really does. I said, tell me about it. He waxed poetic for a minute. I interrupted him and said, now, tonight you are involved in a car wreck, sir. Your handsome face is totally scarred. Your body is totally rearranged. Is she still going to love you tomorrow? And the dude said, yeah. I said, okay, my man, according to Jesus Christ, she's ready to make a lifelong commitment to you, to really love you, which is not just infatuation. It's not just excitement. It's not just convenience. She is ready to love you, to seek your highest good, to give herself to you, and to make a lifelong commitment. But you, my man, are just using her. That's why Christ says, enjoy sex within marriage. Because you don't use people. You respect people. You love people.